What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Is Super Mario Bros. 3 being remade yet again by Nintendo behind closed doors without anyone even knowing about it right now? Potentially. If the leaker Zippo is to be believed and his information is correct, we may have a new Super Mario Bros. 3 remake in the works coming as soon as 2024. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full story of this rumor. And let's make sure we emphasize rumor on this because there is no solid information whatsoever besides coming from someone who is a supposed industry insider who has leaked some correct information in the past, but they've also been wrong in the past. But this story was just too interesting for me to let it slide by without talking about it. Super Mario Bros. 3 being remade for a Nintendo console in the next generation. Maybe a swan song for the Nintendo Switch in 2024, or maybe a new game coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. We don't know yet. In fact, we don't know anything about it. But we're going to talk about the leak and if it's something legitimate or not. Often touted as the best 2D Super Mario game ever made, Super Mario Bros. 3 may be getting a modern-day facelift. According to the leaks from well-known insider Zippo, the news comes right after the release of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, adding even more fuel to the fans' excitement. But before we even dive into Zippo's leaks, let's talk a little bit about Super Mario Bros. 3 long and storied history, because some people might forget this game has been remade and re-released multiple times already. Originally launching in North America in 1990, Super Mario Bros. 3 set the world ablaze. It has seen multiple re-releases on platforms like the Super Nintendo, courtesy of Super Mario All-Stars, and also on the Game Boy Advance. However, the latest whispers suggest that Nintendo is in serious discussions about revamping this classic for contemporary gaming systems. Zippo, who has a track record of somewhat accurate leaks regarding Nintendo, stated that although the decision has not been made, the talks within Nintendo right now are substantial, meaning they are seriously considering moving forward with a modern remake of Super Mario Bros. 3. In a recent blog post by Zippo, he stated, "Happy 35th birthday, Super Mario Bros. 3, plus a tiny scoop at the end." And he goes on to discuss how Super Mario Bros. 3 is currently celebrating its 35th anniversary from Nintendo, and it's an absolutely incredible game with controls and physics and level design, and nobody's going to really argue with that. If they are, they're wrong. Super Mario Bros. 3 is an all-time fantastic game. Many people have it at the top of their list of best games ever created. So it would make sense for Nintendo to say, hey, let's take another look at this game. And after giving his brief overview of why he loves Super Mario Bros. 3 so much, he goes into talking about how internally Nintendo has apparently been having, and to directly quote the sources here, serious discussions about a brand new remake of Super Mario Bros. 3. The game was famously remade 30 years ago in the masterwork that is Super Mario All-Stars. It also got an array of new levels in the GBA version that released in 2003. This is just a game Nintendo can't leave alone, and it's hard not to blame them. I'm hoping they decide to say yes on this one. And taking a realistic step back, looking at this logically, it would make sense for Nintendo to finally revisit Super Mario Bros. 3 once again. It's been a while since they did it. I mean, 20 years ago since Super Mario Bros. 3 graced the Game Boy Advance, and they really haven't touched it besides some minor re-releases on the eShop and the Nintendo Online service. That's really it. Super Mario Bros. 3 has not been touched for a while, and with the modern updates with graphics and abilities for game consoles, it only makes sense for Nintendo to look at this and say, what can we do with Mario 3? But then again, we need to balance this off and make sure I'm not just saying, yes, it's definitely happening, because again, this is heavily rumored. There is No actual tangible evidence that anything is transpiring right now. I want to make that absolutely clear. But the community gave their feedback regarding Zippo and his response on that blog, and they were pretty torn. A leaker known for spilling insider details about Nintendo's future projects. Overall, the sentiment appears to be one of cautious skepticism, with some community members acknowledging Zippo's accurate predictions while also casting doubt on their overall reliability. Some users were accusing Zippo of spreading false information for attention and how his predictions are not necessarily anywhere close to on point ever, while others went through a checklist of info and said, well, he was right about this, he was right about this, and he was wrong about this. And overall, it's kind of a smorgasbord of, yeah, I guess he's kind of right. He may be an insider, he may have some knowledge of internal information happening at Nintendo right now. But regardless of all of that, even taking a step back, logically looking at this, it would make sense for Nintendo to take another look at Super Mario Bros. 3. Hell, they could even take another look at Mario 2 or Super Mario World. Right now would be a great time for Nintendo to revisit all of those games and give a modern twist to them in their own unique way. He continues, not just that, but you can expect to see a plethora of remakes of Nintendo games featured on their next console. Some will be remakes of some of their biggest titles, and some will be obscure titles you haven't seen in a very long time. I think Star Tropics, Ice Climbers, Kid Icarus, that'd be nice. Expect to see some of those in the first year of the system's life. So it sounds to me like Nintendo is fully embracing their back catalog and history of games throughout the years, especially back in the 8-bit NES and Game Boy era. A lot of games that haven't been revisited in a very long time. Nintendo used to not care about these games. They used to give the ROMs away on games like Animal Crossing until they realized there was some value in them. And now they want to release them all over again in a new state. It's something that a lot of people have been clamoring for a very long time. But anyways, back to Super Mario Bros. 3. The possibility of Super Mario Bros. 3 Remake is far from confirmed. Nintendo has yet to officially commence development on the project, meaning it could be several years before we see any concrete results. Depending on how long the turnaround time, it could be as soon as 2024, or it may be a few years off. And as with any development project, there's always a chance that plans could change or disintegrate altogether. So again, approach this with a hefty dose of skepticism. The potential for Super Mario Bros. 3 Remake is super exciting, to say the least. If the rumors prove true, a new generation could experience this treasured title in a fresh, updated format, breathing new life into a game that already stood the test of time. And yes, the original still holds up today, and it's better than most platformers that come out right now. So Super Mario Bros. 3 is fine the way it is, but Nintendo already showed back when they made Super Mario All-Stars that giving it a fresh coat of paint is worthwhile, and it's fun to revisit it with that. So I would be fascinated to see if not only they gave it a fresh coat of paint and made it look nice and kept it all the same, but what happens if they were to remake it, add additional levels, change some of the enemies, add things into the levels that weren't there before, and make it a much bigger, different game, and make it like Super Mario Bros. 3 EX or Super Mario Bros. 3 Plus or something like that, where you get the old blended with the new, and it's the best of both worlds. I can dream, right? Anyways, that's the information I got right now on Super Mario Bros. 3 being potentially remade by a known insider leaker that has a checkered history of being right or wrong, but I wanted to talk about it because any excuse to talk about the retro Mario games is a good excuse to talk about. Let me know if you'd be on board with a Super Mario Bros. 3 remake. I got a sneaking suspicion that most people would love the idea of this. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. Smash it,